What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rice Rocketeer. Today I'm doing a little vlogging. I'm in Soho right now. I had to stop by the Apple store and going out to meet a friend in Queens. So that is my deal for the day. I wanted to. I was thinking about Two Wheel Tuesday because I just went to one. And it reminded me of my very funny, not really funny, it's just more of a disaster of a first experience at Two Wheel Tuesday. So I wanted to jump on the bike and tell you guys a little bit about that. Um, Going to stay a little bit cold, a little bit overcast, but it looks like the sun may be coming out, so maybe we'll get lucky on the way home. But gonna be a quick video, quick ride today, and yeah, so let's jump on the bike. Pretty dog. Pretty dog. All right. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh no! Don't hate me. I'm sorry. All right. My favorite mode, rider mode. Let's go. Am I recording? I'm recording. Let's go. All right. So first, I got to figure out which way I'm going. I'm gonna do a random little loop just because my 360 will probably run out, so I'll lose secondary camera on the way home. But okay, guys. So yeah, welcome back. Before I get into the story, if you have not subscribed, please make sure to do so. Hit that subscribe button down below, and then like this video if and only if you like it. Today I'll be talking about my first Two Wheel Tuesday, guys. For those of you who don't know, Two Wheel Tuesday is an event. I believe they're like, I think it's just a common phrase everywhere, but in New York there's an official Two Wheel Tuesday. Every Tuesday come riding season, and sometimes even past riding season, depending on the weather. It is organized by this, as far as I know, this guy on Instagram. His handle is what is it? It's Spiegel is like the coffee shop that he owns, and then it's Ride More Talk Less is the Instagram handle that gives updates, and I think organizes the event. But either way, it's a bike meetup, usually in the city. I guess some events are in Brooklyn, but it's a great reason to get together and kind of socialize with riders. Especially if you're new to riding, it's like a very beginner-friendly meet, and it is the first thing that I went to when I got my BMW G310R. The guy at the shop, actually, who sold me the bike, told me you should go check out Two Wheel Tuesday, so I did. And the first event that I went to was hosted at this like luxury car pier. It's over on the west side and about like 30th Street, I guess. And sometimes, actually, I'm going right by the Dainese store. They have it here. But my first event was over at West Side Highway. And, you know, if you follow the channel, you know my whole background. But the I just recently stopped drinking, so I was recently sober, and my reward was a motorcycle, so I got the motorcycle. But because I had just gotten sober, like I didn't really know how to socialize anymore, or like how to have a conversation. And that's a bit of an overstatement. Like I wasn't not functional, but I just wasn't comfortable like going out and like with people who were drinking and like hanging out, just shooting the shit. So I figured, you know, since I now ride motorcycles, I'm now part of this thing, that this would be the perfect in, because I wouldn't have to drink or anything, and it would just kind of be relaxed. So I rolled over to this event, and it's a huge warehouse, so like you get there, and first of all, these things no one is ever punctual to. I'm a very punctual person, so like goody two shoes me showed up like on the dot. It was like, I think it started at like 5 or something, and I showed up at 5. So like I was the first of the like the guests that showed up, and the place was empty. And as I got there, there was like a coffee stand that my friend was working, and he was there. And then there was the other organizers for the event. And they all ushered me in. They're like, come on in, coming in. And so, like, I ride in, and I'm like, everyone's just looking at me because I'm the only one there. So, like, everyone's watching me ride in, and I'm a new rider, so I'm, like, super nervous. The floor is, like, a showroom floor, so it's, like, not concrete. It's, like, really polished material. And I know what you're thinking. No, I did not drop the bike. But I was so nervous. I'm kind of like, I'm going in there like, oh God, oh God. It's like, please don't drop this bike. Please don't drop this bike. I park at the far end because that's where they tell me to go. Then I get off, and everything's okay for a little bit because my friend, like I said, he was working the coffee stand, so I go and say what's up to him, and I hadn't seen him in quite some time, so, that part was nice. But then it started to fill up. People start to roll in, and you start hearing bikes, and it's exciting because I'm like, oh, cool. But as people trickle in, I'm realizing that, like, I'm slowly but surely being boxed in by all these bikes that are coming in, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to get out, so I'm talking to my friend, trying to, like, keep focus, and, like, inside I'm panicking because I know that I'm getting sealed in, and I'm just trying to think of how I'm going to get out. Now, mind you, if it was today and I was more comfortable with the bike, I would have been fine because I can move it around when I'm not on the bike. I can, I know how to ride at slow speeds now. I could get out of that situation. But back then, I was so foreign to the bike that, like, I didn't know how I would get out without looking like a complete noob. So, as I finish talking to my friend, because it gets busier and he gets busy, so, like, our conversation gets cut short, and I make my way back over to my bike, and I'm standing by it, and I'm kind of, like, looking around my bike and the bikes around me, and I'm, like, figuring out a logistical way to maneuver out, and someone comes to me and they're like, hey man, you need to get out. And I felt so, like, embarrassed that I was just like, nah, I'm good. I just came back to like, check on it. I don't know, some bullshit. And he clearly knew. I mean, like, anybody would know that, like, oh man, this guy's just, like, embarrassed. So, like, that's where the position that I was at, and I ended up staying there for like 2.5 hours ish, and everybody there was grabbing a drink and, like, hanging out, and everyone was just cool. Everyone was just having a good time. But so, like, on one hand, I wasn't comfortable with the bike, but I also wasn't comfortable with hanging out and talking. So, like, I just kind of sat there, like, I didn't know, and it sounds so silly, but I really just wasn't comfortable hanging out and getting to know people just yet. Like, I wasn't there yet. So it was kind of a traumatizing first experience for me, for, like, a social bike thing. And I still don't really go to these things very often. Like, I'll go because I know a few people now, but I'm not, like, the most social guy when it comes to motorcycles. Like, I like riding, and the whole point of riding to me is it's a me thing. I get to be away from everybody and it's my time. So, like, to go to a place where you're all talking about bikes, I don't know. I know it's a thing. I know it really is a thing, but for me, oh, it's hot. For me, it's just not my choice of activity for when it comes to motorcycles. And I kind of, like, I discovered that too when I was starting to form this channel, and I was like, what, should I be part of the bike community? Like, how is this gonna work? And it's not that I'm, like, anti-bike community. I just, like, I've never been a group person, so, like, that's not really my purpose in doing this. So, anyway, that was my first Two Wheel Tuesday. I've since been to some. I didn't go for, like, a year. I just avoided these events like the plague because, like, I didn't have a good time that first time. And again, it had nothing to do with anybody but me. This is, like, 100% a me problem. So I'm not saying that the event was bad or that, like, it's not a good event. I think it's a wonderful event, and I've had some good times, and I know a lot of new riders who go and they just have a blast, because they get to make some connections. So, again, not shit-talking it, I'm just saying this was my experience with it and why I avoided it. I never really enjoyed group meetups, especially when it's about something so specific. Like, I found this in college when I went to film school, and everybody was like so obsessed with film, that's all they could talk about it. Well, yeah, no shit, because it's film school. But it's just too much for me. And it also, like, when I had my electric bikes, I did something similar. I went to, I had a Super 73, and I went to a Super 73 meetup, which I thought would be cool, which is like, kind of, it's like Two Wheel Tuesday, but not with motorcycles, which makes it a little less cool, in my opinion. So, oh, nice. Ah. Let's try to get around here. So this Super 73 meetup was so funny to me because, like, even back then when I didn't have a motorcycle, I just felt so lame. Like, it didn't feel... It felt like everybody there was trying to do something, like, trying to make something more of the bike, you know, than what it really was. It's... Oh, God, I feel bad because I'm, like, shitting on this, but it really was lame. Like, I showed up... There were like 50 people with Super 73s, and they're, you know, the brand ambassadors there, and like, they're trying to like push the product and make it seem like the next best thing. And so they lined us all up for these photos, and everybody has like full-on gear, which you should, but it was just like people obsessed and like fanatics about this one particular bike, and I just couldn't buy into it. Even though I had the bike, I just was like, oh God, guys, this is so stupid. And then there was a specific hand motion. It was, and I remember it because they made us do it for the photo, and every time you saw somebody, they would throw up the hand sign, and I was like, we're kind of throwing up gang signs for an electric vehicle. Like, there's nothing less badass than this. But the sign was this, and it was a 7. It's with the other hand, my throttle hand, but I'm not going to do that. It was a 7 up and down, and then 3 fingers, so it's 73. And we were expected to, like, or we were asked to, like, throw that up for photos and do it to each other when we were riding in our group ride. But I just thought it was so lame, and, like, there's really nothing wrong with being proud of what you have. It was just, like, I think... the group thing. Like, if Triumph did an event like this, I would still think it was lame. Like, I just don't like group stuff where, like, everybody's so gaga over a product. Like, it seems so silly to me. But anyway, that whole event ended in a big group ride, and it was something, again, I didn't have a motorcycle, so I'm not comparing this to the experience that I'm now used to, but we were all going down the street in a big group, and it was silent because it's an electric bike, and it just seemed so odd to me. And everybody was like, yo, it's so cool, we have the same bike. I'm like, no shit, we have the same bike. There's only like 2 models that were out at that time. I don't know, that's just me being cynical, but these group things really, I don't do well in group things. And that goes for Two Wheel Tuesday as well. I'll go, but it's, you know, the conversations that people want to have usually are like, obviously about bikes, and like what mods they're gonna do, and what they like on my bike, and what they like on their bike. And to me, it's just like, it doesn't matter, you know. Again, that's why I don't have like a technical channel where I talk about like the specs of a bike, because I just don't care. Whatever bike I'm gonna ride is gonna be fun, and that's what it's about, is the ride, how you ride, how you feel when you ride. Even if it's the same road can be different days of the week, you know. So that's what I like about riding, not so much the technical stuff, not so much the community or the group. It's just the experience. So anyway, that's my Two Wheel Tuesday story and my Super 73 story, kind of wrapped into one. They're not very entertaining stories, so I wasn't going to make a whole video of one or the other. It's just kind of, I guess this is really a video more about me and how I interact with communities. or don't. But yeah. So I'm headed out to Queens, guys. Let me see. It's not much of an entertaining ride after this. Thanks for tuning in for this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Where's my exit? I think it's to the right here. Da, 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 da.